Okay, we are recording. This is on Thursday, April 21st, 2023. I've had a lot of people ask about how to use the indicators and such, and there's videos in all the courses. As soon as you buy an indicator, there's videos in there that show how to use it. I still get a lot of questions because I will use different indicators with different stuff, and so I thought, well, we'll just do a video and show you how we're going to use the balance, the mover, the shaker, and the ranger. And I'm going to show you how each one works individually, and then I'm going to show you how like two of them will work together, and then I'm going to show you how all four can work together. Um, as far as me personally, I trade with different ones. Every day I trade different. I get bored with the same thing, so they all work good. It's just that I want to trade different. And that bothers some people that I do that, but that's just the way I trade. So what I'm going to do is show you the balance first. And we had some confusion this morning. The balance you can have the London or the US. If you choose the London, you use the London and the London only. You don't use London in the US. That's why we have one called US. So you notice all the lines are different. So there's a magical formula that I use on this, and the London, you will only use the London in the London session. And the way it works, let's start with the London. And I'm just using a 1 minute just for reference. You can use whatever time period you want. If it's in the morning time, I don't use a 1 minute. I hardly ever trade on a 1 minute, actually. I usually trade on Fibonacci numbers. Sometimes I'll trade on a 21 tick, sometimes a 34, 55, 89, 144. 144 is probably my favorite, but a 144 is too big of a candle or a bar when you have low volume. So I will switch back to going with something else. So it depends on the volume with what I trade. So for you to ask me, what do you use? Well, it depends on that moment in time. I can't say that in the London session I use a 88 or I'm sorry, 89. I can't tell you that because it depends on what volume is there. I hardly ever trade a time chart, meaning a 15 or 30 second or 1 minute, 5 minute. I will reference a 1 minute and a 5 minute just to kind of see what's going on, because sometimes the tick will get you uh, out of the loop of the direction it's going. So a lot of times, sometimes I will have like a daily chart here, a 10-minute here, and then I'll have a 2 minute here, and then on another monitor I'll have my trading. So that way I can see kind of what's going on overall direction and get an idea of what's going on. Now the balance indicator is not going to work on a daily chart because it's specific to like a London session or a US session. So depends on how you do that. So the way this will work is if you open below the balance, the majority of the time it's going to be short bias. And these red lines are going to be your profit targets that you're looking for. And if you open above the balance, then you are looking at long bias. Now right here we opened let's see, 301, 307. We actually opened just below the balance, but it was right at it. And again, it's not 100% accurate, whereas nothing is. So what we do is we look to see what's going on. If we're below this, we're looking to go to this line, this level. If we go above, we're looking to go here. And as you can see, it's not 100%, nothing is, but that is the direction that you're going. And we actually pulled through, we broke through it, we went right on up to this level, pulled down, went right back to it, come down, then we come down right on top of it. So the balance it's not something you can say, okay, this said 44.84.50, so I'm going to put my target there. What you want to do is, when you're doing this, I personally put my target down below. Because if this would just go through, just like, we'll take this for instance, I wouldn't put my profit target here. I would put it on up here, because if this comes up and blows through, I want to get that gain. So when this starts coming up, I've got my stop real close to where I can just put my stop and lay it in here and allow a little bit of breathing room. And then if it goes on up and pushes up, I'll put it right above it and then go on. That's the way I do it. You may do yours different, but that's the way I do mine. So it really just depends on the trader that is actually doing the trading as far as how they scalp. I'm not one to get in here and just let it go like this all day long. It's just not how I trade. I don't really trade this pullback here. When it starts getting up, I'm wanting to take profit here because I don't know that that's not going to just keep on coming down. I'm not willing to give that up. Whereas some people would just like to get in down here and just let it ride all day long, and that's just not my style of trading. So it's up to you. So that's in the London session, and if we go over to the US session, we can see this one here. We actually opened above the balance. Again, this thing ended up selling off all day. But what happens when we come down, we can play this bounce off, and a lot of times it will bounce up and just keep on going up here. Today it never met the TP1 for the long. It never hit it. So, but once we come through and broke through, you can see it went to this level, kind of come through, went down here, come right back up. That's not to say that it won't keep bouncing back between each of these levels. But these levels give you an idea of probably where the price is going to go. Once we broke through here, you can see that it went sideways there, went sideways here, went sideways there, come up, retested there, went sideways here. I was actually in this trade right here for the long, so I picked that up. I didn't get much, but I did get some because I remember that right there. So I was hoping it didn't drop out. I had my stop just below it, like probably 3 or 4 ticks or so below that. And then it ended up going up. I brought my stop up. I did take profit, and I don't remember what I did with the rest, but I remember that. So on this one, and that was actually a play that, this is in a downtrend, so to go long here was kind of risky, but I just felt it was. I had other things on the chart that told me that it was probably going to pop. And it actually did pop all the way up. We didn't hit this level. We broke through it, come down, and then we just started retesting the same levels. We were just staying in a channel here. But as you can see, this right here, it ended up selling off, come right down to the level. These lines, these levels, are printed back here. It doesn't know what's going to happen the rest of the day. These levels never change. So in my opinion, strictly my opinion, I think this ought to be on every chart that you have. I think that it is probably the best indicator we have to know where levels are. It's not going to tell you that it's going to go there as far as the direction, but they are levels that print. So if it actually breaks through, it kind of lets you know that that's probably our next pit stop. So I like the balance for that reason. So let's go ahead and do this other one. I'm going to add the mover to it. So when I do the mover, the mover will give you some direction. So make it bigger so you can see. Actually, before I do that, let me do this. Let me go back one. Let's just take each one of these individually. It'll be better. So we have, right here is the open. So this is a 1 minute. I don't normally trade a 1 minute. So let's go ahead and switch this back to a 144 and go back here. This is why I didn't want to use this, because that didn't happen. It's just NinjaTrader's data. It's just what they do, just like this right here. There's actually a bunch of bars in there, but NinjaTrader likes to do that. ES is the worst for it. So how I trade the mover is I'm looking for blue and red. Now, if you want, you can change these colors to whatever you want. Blue and red just stands out to me. Blues is a standard long for most everybody. Red is standard short, and that's why I picked those. One question: do you have levels for gold as well? Not on the balance yet. I'm going to add that, but I don't have it yet. Honestly, I've been out of town a lot, and my programmer took some time off as well. So I'm hoping to have that done by the end of next week. It's already in the works. Gold will have its own, and see the metals will, and also the bonds will. So I'm working on that, and I'm also working on to where whatever you choose up here will automatically know to change the balance for that instead of you having to check it. So whatever if you pick something that opens at 9:30 Eastern time, then that will do that. Natural gas as well, yes, it's going to be on there. We're going to do the metals, which is gold and silver mainly. Gold and silver, and then we're going to have one for natural gas. We're going to have it for the bonds, and then we'll have it for just the regular indices. So, but that's coming. It's going to be an update. So whoever has the balance will automatically get the update free of charge. I don't charge for updates. So the way the mover works is if it's red, you go short, and this one tick on this. Let me go to a different tick. This is a little better. Yeah, this shows a little better. Bear with me 1 second here. So I'm going to try to get to the open. You can see when it's red, you just go short. When it's blue, you go long. Now, if you're in a common down, you just take the shorts. You're better off not to take the longs. You can get a few points out of it, like from this one here. As soon as it closes above, your entry would be here. That would be the blue. The most you could have got is like 87.50. I like to go for more than that. I'm not looking to catch the pullback on the opposite. I'm looking more to catch the long, or well, not really the long, but I'm wanting to catch something that's going to be better. So usually what will happen is when it pulls back or pulls down, it will pull back up in, and then when it hits the mover again, you can hop in, and then there's like $200 there. So you wouldn't have got the very bottom. Realistically, when this come up, you probably would have gotten out about right there. So there's $175 a contract, nothing to sneeze at. Yes, that's the how to trade the two-step, the course I have. If you're about lease, you should watch it because I go into more detail about how to use this, and it'll tell you how to trade it better. So I'm not going to go into that. If you have the lease, do it. If you don't have the lease, you can purchase the two-step course, and it's going to really show you a lot of things. It will show you where the pullbacks are and everything. That course is the best course on the website, how to trade the two-step. So the way the mover works, if it's red, you go short. If it's blue, you go long. If you didn't even try to play any of the, when to get in or whatever, just played it, you're usually going to win. Now, when you come into this chop like this, it is going to wear you out. You're possibly going to get $25, $50, maybe $75 or something. But for the most part, people in the chop will usually lose. But if on this particular case, you could do, say, from here to here, and you're trading, let's just say you got in right there, and let's say you were lucky enough to get out before it pulled back, say you're right there, there's $37.50. So your risk reward is not really that great. So when this comes up, and then you think it might pull back, we made a lower high here. So by making a lower high, realistically, that would be a good short to get into. And when it comes down and holds, maybe you kind of held through this, and eventually maybe you broke even or this or that. So this part right here, once you get out, I would not be taking a long. I would be waiting. Once you do that, if you come back in here, draw your zone out and just wait for it to break out. Don't get in the trade on the breakout. Wait on the next one. So usually what I'll do is when this breaks out and it pulls back, I'll be waiting to get in over here. So in this case, I don't even know what it looks like, but if I would have done that, my entry would have been here. And when this went up, the most I could have made is 137.50. Not a bad trade. I mean, that's giving you almost 3 points. So over 2 points, and on ES, that's pretty good. If you can make 2-3 points on ES in a trade, you've done well. So that's how the mover works. It's pretty much just red blue, and just taking the short. You can put this on any time chart you want. So let's say you wanted a 5-minute. That tells you right there. If you're one of those people that can just get in and hold it forever. So on this one, you would have got in right here, and you would have got out probably the end of the day, probably about right there. There's $5,300 if you just played the 5-minute charts on that today. So the 5-minute chart does well. Now also on the mover, you have alerts. It'll give you an audible alert to let you know when the color change is. And it will also give you the visual where it can put arrows on the chart as well. So if you want the arrow, it'll show that. So if I bring it back over, a lot of people ask about settings. If you're in the SpyBot lease, I provide settings. I do not provide settings with the indicators. So it'd be up to you to decide what you want to use. See how they added the arrows to it? It's just in the settings. It'll show you how to do that. Again, it'll have audible as well. So when you see a red arrow, you can have a down alert and you can have a up alert. So this will let you know when to trade. When you get into this kind of chop on the 5-minute, it's going to wear you out. A lot of times you can lose money through here. But if you're just trading the longs only, like right here, you would get in, and then it gets out right here. Don't take the short, take the next long. Maybe you weathered this one all the way out, and then when you went up, maybe you did get in the short. Maybe you didn't get in there, but when it pulled back in, and then you got in right there. So you can play that as well. So that's how the mover works. If y'all have questions or anything, let me know. Then we have the shaker. A lot of people use the shaker. The shaker is really good. Let's see here. Leave all that off. So on the shaker, how does it work? The shaker, well, the mover works off moving averages. Is what it works off from. The shaker works off volatility. There is no moving average here. There is no lagging indicator of any kind. It's all 100% volatility. And it works really well. The way I have it is blue and gold for W. I'm from West Virginia, so I put W in this one. You can change those colors. So if you're over in Ohio where I am now, you can make them red and white for the bucks and whatever you want to do, whatever color is the choice. So the way this works is you have a blue and a gold. If you're blue, you take longs. If you're gold, you take short. And let me come back. This is on a 1-minute chart, by the way. You can play it on anything you want, ticks, minutes, whichever, it doesn't matter. And then when you have the color change, that's when you get into the short. So from into this one here, it would have been off of this candle. When one candle closes below that, then it will turn it gold. So this did not turn gold until this one closed and this one opened. So that's at 96. It went all the way up to 99, so that's a 3-point. A lot of people ask, what stop do I use? I use a stop depending on what time frame I'm using for one. The bigger the time frame, if you're using a 5-minute, a 2-point stop will not work on a 5-minute like it would on, say, a 1-minute. But whenever I put my stops and profit target in, those are generic numbers that I use. And I'll usually put like a 30-tick profit and a 12-tick stop. But that's not where my stop and profit target go. I move my stop. Like if I'd entered here, then my stop would have been right across the top of this one. So it would have been one candle back. looking at that, I would have put it right there, and I would have let it play out. So on this one, depending on if I had my balance indicator on there, I'd be looking for different levels, or if I had the Ranger or whichever. So my profit targets and my stops are dependent on either Ranger or balance is usually what I'm looking at, and the bar itself. So to say that I'm going to run a 12 tick on with the trail stop on ES is something that is not necessary. Today, I was waiting on Powell to speak at 1 o'clock, and I was 12 contracts long with a stop way down. I ended up getting stopped out on it, and I lost money on it. But I come back, and once it actually found the bottom, because I knew it was going to go up, once it found the bottom, then I went ahead and went 8 long, and I picked up a nice profit. I shared that in the Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, if you go to the top of my website, there's a blue button up there, and it looks like a little face on it. Click on that, you can join for free. So on this one, you're going to go ahead and take shorts on this right here. And now there's another way to play this that we do, but I'm going to show you this first. So if it's gold, you just stay in the short. And then when it turns blue, you get out. So in this case, if you would have played that today, your entry would have been actually right there. And your exit would have been, actually it would have been on that candle there. So your exit would have been 3,600. So on the mover, I think it was $50 some $100 that you would have made. That was on a 5-minute though. So on this one, you would have been at 3,600 on one contract. That's a $500 contract. So if you'd have got in and just played it out until the next caller, that's what you would have made today. That would have been till 2:30. And on this one right here, usually when it's coming steep like that, if it turns blue, I will not get in at that point. If the lines are coming down, I will get back in on this next one. And then when it comes down, it starts coming up. We have a close right there, but honestly, where that closed, I would not have got out. That would have come down. I would have got out probably when it crossed back over here. Oops. And actually, I wouldn't have even been in that trade that long because I can't do it. So right there's $1,200, but where I would have got out when this is coming down, if I was playing the 1 minute, is I probably would have been out about right there, 1,300. That's probably where I would have been out. When it starts doing this right here and starting to go up, I will put my stop right across the top of this, and if I get hit, I take the profit. If I don't, then I just take more. So when you start chopping like this right here, these big wicks or big bars, that's a good sign not to be in. We're toward the end of the day. I don't normally trade at this time of day. It's just not something I do. I usually don't trade at the open, although I have and I still do and will continue. I usually don't. So this is just some examples of how you can trade this by itself. So that is the shaker. Now let's talk about the Ranger. So we're going to go ahead and go into the Ranger. The way the Ranger works, and I could do a 3-hour video just on Ranger. But a Ranger looks for levels, and it plays open range breakout. So you can pick different times of a breakout that you want, and play it ever how you want. You can do, some people do a 2-minute breakout, some a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, and so forth. Can you show SuperTrend indicator as well, please? Yeah, I can, Fred. I don't have it pulled up, but remind me, and I will do it at the end. The SuperTrend's a really good indicator. A lot of people making a lot of money on the SuperTrend bot. So remind me at the end. Don't let me forget. So on the Ranger, it's going to work on levels, and it's got zones, and you can put in fibs and so forth. And I'm not going to go into all that, but I'm showing you what I usually use when I use Ranger. And the initial thing that we planned on with Ranger is to play the open range. We get in short right here underneath the yellow, and then we just stay in it. But what was happening is sometimes we'd miss the entry, and we wouldn't know what to do, and it wouldn't come back up and give us another entry. So we weren't playing the indicator to the best of its ability. So we started playing around with it and looking at it and doing back tests and trying to figure out, how can we make more money with this indicator? So we started playing zone to zone. So let me give you a closer view. On this one right here, if you played from the bottom of that zone to the top of this zone, that's 275. That's a good trade. So on this one, we decided that the middle was actually better to play than these right here. So we started playing off the middle because we noticed that when you played off the middle and it went up, we would not put a profit target there. We'd have our profit target way up in case it shot up through there. And then as it come up and pushed up, we'd put our stop right here at the bottom of the red. And then when it pushed up through the yellow, then we'd come up to the yellow. When it pushed up through the green far enough, we'd put it at the top of the green. So on this one, realistically, we would have played the yellow from the top of the green to the yellow and 275. That's a good trade. Most people that I talk to, their daily goal is anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a day. That's the majority. That's average. Some people want to make 10,000 or whichever, but the majority is somewhere between 500 and 1,000. $1,000 is $250,000 a year. I don't know too many people that can't live on that. If you can't, then you're living way above. But if you can live on $250,000 a year, and I'm not talking about running businesses and everything else, I'm just talking about normal living, then that's a good living. At least it is in the area that we live in. Now, like California, that's probably not enough money. But in the area that I live in, South Carolina and Ohio, those are, you can live a really nice life on that. So on this one, we start playing zone to zone. So here, we would have our entry right here, and then when it come down and hit it, it would automatically come down, and then when it come down and pushed here, we would have our stop right there. So there's 225. So I can show you this all day long, but that's pretty much how we trade it. We trade it, we have our breakout, the show, but we mainly trade zone to zone, and that's how Fish does it. For the guys in the Discord that know, that's how Fish trades. He trades from right here down to here. If it's in a down direction, he doesn't take the longs. He only takes the shorts. If it comes down in here and then starts coming up, he might have a long right here in case it pops through. But for the most part, when it pushes up, he's got his short already here, ready. Like on this one here, when it pushed up, he would have his short here, and then he'd catch that. He normally will not allow, like when this comes down and starts going through here, he's out. He's taking his profit and getting out. He'll wait on the next trade and get in. If you take profit on every trade, you won't lose money. So that's how we do the Ranger. So now let's incorporate a few of them together. We just talked about the Ranger. So let me show you what he does with the mover. I'm using ES on all of these just to make it easier. It works the same way with NQ or gold or whatever you want to trade. They all work the same. So on this one, we use the mover for direction. Now, one thing Fish does on this one is that he will, let me find one here and show you. Right here's one. This is one thing that he does on his, and we've gone over this a million times. We trade together often. He would have, when this pushed up, he would have an entry here. His stop is going to be right there. So his stop on this one, because every day is going to be different, but on today, his stop would be $125, which is going to be, what, 9 ticks, or no, 10 ticks. So his stop would be right there. And as long as it comes down and stays, he's fine. But he's going to have his stop, and he runs it right on this mover. So his stop, he would have got stopped out right there. So on this one, he would have entered right there, and he would have exited right there for $150. And he's been trading up to 5 contracts lately. So once he gets his money built up in his account, then he starts adding contracts. He always starts off on 1. Gets his little bit of padding there, gets him up to his 1,000, then he'll maybe add a second. He gets it up, and one day I think he was up like $13,000, and that's because he was trading with larger contracts. And that's something we've been working on and showing how to do, and he's doing real well with it. Sometimes it backfires. We all lose money some days. We're not always going to win money. I think I've lost money 2 times in the last 6 months, which is for me incredible because I used to lose every week. But I think I've lost twice in 6 months. So that's how he uses the mover with the Ranger. So the Ranger by itself does a good job, but when you add the mover with it, then it will allow you to see what's going on more. Because when you start seeing these candles staying above the mover, that's a good sign that we're probably not going to go short. But when they're staying below the mover, it's staying short. Like right here, these are staying short. Now he would have, again, he would have got stopped out early on this one. He would have actually entered probably right there or here. One of those two right there would have entered. And then when it started coming down and went down below, he may have been stopped out there. I would say he definitely would have been stopped out there. If not, he probably would have had his stop way down here and taken that profit. In my opinion, I think he would have stopped out wrong through here. When that pushed down, he would have put that stop there and then got stopped out for around $300. I would say more than likely that would be his trade right there. Like I said, we trade almost daily together, and I see what he's doing, and that's kind of what he's doing. So if you run the mover and Ranger together, you're going to have better results than if you just have one over the other. So let's go ahead and go back into the balance. Since we're doing levels on Ranger, let's talk about the balance and the mover together. This is what I trade most of the time. I add the Ranger to this too. But this right here is mainly what I trade because I'm looking for my levels. And as long as I know where my levels are, then I'm hopping in on the mover. So usually I won't be trading right here. I'll wait. And then usually about 10 o'clock or so is when I want to start trading. And right here is 10 o'clock, so that's some short. So for me, I would be watching this right here, and as long as it started coming down, making lower lows, I would probably be getting in about right here. Somewhere on through right here, right in there somewhere. So when this starts coming down, it comes up. My stop is going to be right across the top of this one here. So on this one here, my stop would be 162.50. So that's going to be what, about 13 ticks, if I did my math right. So 13 ticks is where my stop would be, and when I first got in, it would be 12 ticks, but I would move it 1 tick above that, and that's where I'd be. So as this comes down, when it shoots down, my stop would be right here across the top of this one. When it comes down and pulls back, my stop would be right here. It comes down, pulls back, my stop would be here. Comes down, pulls back, I would be stopped out right there. Because when this one pulled back, my stop would be there when it drops down. When it pushes up, so that'd be a $450 trade per contract. I've been trading up to 12 contracts here lately. That's what I've been trading. So usually in the morning, I usually go in 4 contracts every time, and then I add 4 each time, and I'll usually trade up to 12. That's what I usually trade. And that's just, sometimes I'll go in 2 and add 2 and add 2. As I go through the day, and if my profits are up, then I'll usually go to 4 contracts on each one. And that's not really that much. I mean, it's only $2,000 trade, 4 contracts. It's not like it's huge. Like people think, oh, you're doing 4 contracts. It's not that much money. So, and if you're doing 12 contracts, you're only looking $6,000. So you're still, again, not a lot of money when you're doing that. And if you're doing 4 contracts, you're going to be $200 a point profit. So if you're right and it comes down, this 450 times 4 would be almost $2,000. So what, 1,800 if I did math right, 1,800 or 1,900. So you'd be about $1,800. And if you're only looking to make around $1,000 a day or so, boom, you're there. And actually, if you're looking to do that, you come right down here. Okay. So now here's what I want to show you. If you're using the mover, my stop would be there minimum, okay? But we've got the balance in here. So when we have the balance, When it comes down to it, we're looking for a bounce up because we closed above it, right? So since we closed above it, I'm looking for it to come down and hit this and bounce. So my stop, when it goes down and pushes down, I'm going to be on that balance. So instead of being the 450, I'm at 650. That's where my stop's going to be because of the balance. That's the only reason. Now, if we keep on going through, I'm not going to put my profit target there because it may keep right on going. Usually it will hit and bounce off and come down, sometimes retest it, and then go again. So when we come down and hit it, we pull back, we hit it again. I'd be long off the top of this right here. So, and I'd be long thinking we're going to up here. Now, if we hit up there, that's $1,112. That's if we hit that spot, but we never. So what I'm going to do is when that goes up and it pulls back to here and goes up, my stop is right here. So my stop, I would be at 212.50. That's where my stop's going to be. When this comes down below the mover, that's telling me it's probably going to come down. It might go ahead and pull back up and then drop, but that's where we are. What am I going to do here? When this comes down, remember over here when it come down, pushed up, come down, and then I hopped in, I waited on that pullback. The same thing goes here. We went down, we pulled back, and then we come down and we started hovering through here. That's a sign, and our mover's red. That's a sign. Look, this overall direction. That's a sign we're going to go short. So you might get in short here and put your stop up there, and it may reverse and get you stopped out. But you already made a lot of money. You're going to have some losers. You got to take chances. So on this one, when we went through, we pushed up. But the bulls didn't keep on taking it. Usually, they will push it up a lot, come back down in here, and go. On this one right here, we went up, we pulled back, and we stayed right here. And then when this one made a lower low, I would be looking to go off of this right here to go low or go short. And I would keep my stop there and my stop up here, my entries here, my stops up here. If that goes up and hits this again, I want out because it may keep on going. So there's that risk factor there. And when it comes down, pushes through, you can take your choice of bringing your stop right there and making 250, or you can kind of hold it. Me, I take my profit. That's the way I play. So my profit would be right there. So I'm looking at 650, 212.50, and 250. Does this help everybody? Everybody understand what I'm doing here? I hope you all still here. I think my internet's still going strong. So I'm going to play that all the way down through here, the same scenario. Good, you can still hear me. I'm still live. So I wasn't sure how it was going to work tonight. On this one right here, when you come through there, you're going to be playing the same thing. You're going to have this little zone. So you've got a chop zone right here. There's your zone. Maybe you play, when it breaks out of it, you play it. A lot of times when it comes through, it will pull back. You can play this ever how you wanted. It's below the balance, so we're in a down motion. So maybe you hopped in, rolling through here somewhere, and you put your stop about halfway, and you just let it ride out, and eventually you caught it. So you would have caught this whole drop right here. And then when you come down, you hit each one of them. Maybe you just bring your stop up about halfway and just kind of ride it out. Depends on how you want to play it. I like to take profit quick. I'm not one to hold it. So that's how we would do that one. Any questions on that one? And now we're going to show the shaker and mover. The shaker and mover work pretty much the same as the mover and the balance in a way. The shaker and the balance you're going to want to, and we have this in the new updated mover bot, by the way we play this. You can play this two different ways, and I'm going to show you both. One way is when the mover crosses the shaker, you enter short. And over here, when it crosses long, you enter long. Now, one thing I will say is that when you're up like this and it's starting to curve over, and you can see this, I wouldn't be taking longs there because you're kind of going sideways. You might miss it, but it'll pull back and then you can hop in. So on this one right here, the way I would have played it is your entry would have actually been all the way up here. For me, that's too far. I would not want to enter there. You could enter off of the regular way of shaker, when you see that and it pumps up. But when you have all of this through here, that's just not where I want to trade. Now, coincidentally, this is at 9:30. I wouldn't be trading it anyway. But I personally would rather wait on the pullback into the shaker before I go on. So on this one, if you have the shaker and mover across, you're going to be entering right here. And you're going to make a little bit. That's 45.03. There's 5 points, so there's $250 a contract. So you could play that in a one, but the chances is you would be trying to hold for much more profit. That's what we all do. So when this thing pulls back and comes back into the shaker, a lot of times people will get in and play the run back up. But once this closes over top of the mover, and then we have our entry here, because with this one closes, that'll turn that blue. We could actually enter here, which would be 45.03. That'd be the same trade. Okay, so you could have made up to 250 there and up to 250 here. So you can play the cross, and you can also play off of the mover as well. If you played the cross, you can exit out on your cross back. It's not, and to me, I don't think it's a real good strategy, but you would have lost money there. I personally like this other way of trading the shaker better. So if you think about the cross as one way, and now we're going to talk about using the mover and shaker together, but using the mover as the signal and the shaker as the filter. So what will happen is if this is blue, that means you take longs only. Since this mover had already turned blue down here, and we were actually gold at that time, we would not be taking that long. And then since we come down and this is red, if this is blue, we don't take the short. We would actually take this long right here, which would get your in about right here, and you would have taken that long. So that would be, in my opinion, the best way. Now, when this is coming back short, the mover would have got you in way back there, and you'd made a lot of money on the mover alone. And you could still play the mover with a shaker if you want doing that. But there's two strategies, the cross, and then when this comes down, and then it turns blue, then it turns red, you'd be getting in a short. That would not have been that great of a trade there, but right here, we're still gold. So our entry would be right here. It's actually, I think your entry would actually be right there. Actually, no, that's not it. The entry would be right here at the open of this candle, because when this one closed is when that turned red. And then at the most you could have made would be right here. That's $712. So multiply that by whatever contracts you do. So now we're just going to be taking shorts all day. We're not going to take any longs at all. We're just going to wait. And when this goes in, this one right here, see, my stop would be one tick above this up here. So I would not get stopped out on this one because it was one tick above. So I would not be stopped out there. And when this comes down, starts coming back up. Now, a lot of times people, when this turns blue again, they will get out right here. You may or may not have made money on this one. This one here, you could have held it if you wanted, had your stop up there. When you start getting into range like this, hard to say what you'll do. But at the most, if you just kept on playing this, I mean, you would be playing shorts only. So let's just say that, let's say you lost right there. So let's bring this one down, call it a loss. If you played the mover direction only, so you would have 187.50 there. You would enter here. You would come down to here. Now, this is not how I would have done it. I would have been down in here somewhere. I would not allow that to come up. But I'm just going to show you color change only. Then you would be here. You come down. So that would put you a winner there. Actually, this would be up here. But winners on top, losers on bottom. And then this one, you'd play there, come down, you would actually be out right there. And this one would be in here, and the color change would be right there. So you can see your profits are going to be pretty good there. This, in my opinion, is one of the best ways that you can trade. I do have the mover bot that was updated for that. And we had it kept disabling, so I got an update. I'm going to upload it tonight. It's 2.8, and it fixed that disabling. So as far as the mover bot, I think this will probably, I hate to say it, but I think it may be one of our better bots because it's going to be quick entries. I've got some settings on it I played with today, and it actually did really well. About 30 minutes, it made about $1,000 on 4 contracts on ES, so it actually did really well. But I'll share those settings on there as well. Buyer beware, because I've only tried it for a little bit. So this is one way you can trade the shaker, and it would work the same way on the long. You know, if you're blue, then you would take longs only. You wouldn't take the shorts. This one right here, I mean, this is scalping it, but you know, someone may have just got in right up here and just let it go. You know, just stayed long the whole way. So if you did that, you know, if it come down and then started doing it again here, maybe you played in right here, or maybe you played in there. So if you played on this one and just stayed in it once you got going, your money in the bank. So you just kind of stay until you have a color change. There's $3,600 for a $500 trade. You got to think, that's what, 7, 8, 7. It's a little over 700% that you'd made on one contract. So it doesn't take a lot to trade. You just got to know your entries. And this right here, in my opinion, is really good about your entries. It does real well. So let's go to another one that is just going to blow your all's mind. So we did the mover shaker, movers. Let's go ahead and put all 4 of these on the chart at the same time. You're like, wow, that's way too much. Well, when you pull it back a little bit and you actually see the candles for what they are, there's a lot of lines on there. How would you play it though? Well, I kind of like to see, yeah, I'll do the SuperTrend next. I kind of like to see the Ranger on here just so that I can see where a zone is. A lot of times the zone will kind of get you out a little bit quicker. So if you look at this one right, let me find one. Actually, that one right there is. When this come out and come down in here, if you had your stop right there, you wouldn't have been weeding all this out. And as far as the entry, you would be looking more at this mover coming down through here. But you would be thinking that your entry would be off the bottom of this zone. So if you had your entry there, this didn't change red until this one closed, but you'd already be in. So a lot of times it will help you get into shorts quicker. Now, having the shaker up here where it's gold, that'll actually help you as far as knowing short or long. Now let me show you something else. And I need to, let's see here. Bear with me 1 second. Now, if I'm trading all this on at the same time, I turn the lines off of the shaker because the only thing I'm using the shaker for is to see if it should be long or short. So I'm not looking for those take profit targets that it has, which I didn't show you, but let me do this right here real quick because I didn't show you. These lines, these right here, this teal, those are take profit lines. I didn't show you that earlier. So when you actually enter, then right here is one of your first profit targets. Here's your second. There's up to 5 that you can put on the screen. But if you take all of those off and just use the midline to know short or long, and that's all you're looking for, and that will help you know which overall direction that you're in. So if you put this back, you can see that it stayed gold all day. And with it staying gold, that means no matter what you do here, just take the shorts. Don't take any longs. You'd miss that long right there, but that's all right. When it went up there, you take the short back. If you just took shorts all day long, you'd made a lot of money. I mean, it'd been better just to got in one trade up here and down, but you don't know that. When this is all the way over here, you don't know that that's going to sell off all day. And by looking at this, it's kind of a mixture. I mean, it's showing short, so it's kind of giving an indication that it's going to stay short because our candles are staying below it. This is not VWAP. It don't work anything like VWAP, but it's somewhat similar the way you trade it. Where VWAP, if the candle's above, you go long. If the candle's below, you go short. It's in that scenario of strategy, but this don't have anything to do with VWAP. Nothing. So when it's up here and it pops up, and we've been staying short all that time, wait on the pullbacks. And then when we double top there, that's a good indication we're coming down. We have our Ranger opening range here. We didn't break out above it, so that means that it's a good indication for short. So when we come down here, we take a short right there, and maybe we stay in it the whole day. So when you look at this all together, it's actually not that much on if you know what you're looking at. So if we see the balance right here, if you see the balance, you know that you're just going to be short bias from here on out because we're below the balance. And then we're going to have these dotted lines to let you know where the next level is. And we've also got our zones to kind of let you know when we get down in there, we put our stop right there. And our mover is showing our direction. So we've got direction off our shaker, direction off of our mover. We've got our zones off of the Ranger. And we've also got our levels off of balance. So it looks like a lot, but when you know what each line is, after you trade with it for a day, say you trade sim like this, after a day, then you'll know what that stuff means and what you should do. You can also change the colors of the balance, the TP1, 2, and 3, or 4. You can change those to different colors. I leave them all red just because I know red means that, a red dot. I don't care if it's T1, T2, or whatever. I just need to know it's a level. So that's how I do those. So let me do this. A request for the balance and the mover or the SuperTrend. I'll do both of them together as requested. SuperTrend does a really good job. I sold several of those today. It's a good indicator. Okay, so we'll do that one there. So we have the SuperTrend and the mover together. Or I'm sorry, the balance. SuperTrend and the balance. The way the SuperTrend works, if it is pink, then you go short. So when it would go short right off the bottom of this. When it broke through those blue dots and closed, that would be a short. So today, you would have entered a short here, and it would have actually exited right here based on these settings. These are just the default settings I have. Now you can play with this. It depends on what you're going to do. Let me look at, I like a 144 on this really well. You can get a lot of good scalps in there. And let's see here. Okay, so right here, I think a 1 minute is too much on it. We would have actually been long on that candle there, and it would have not exited until right here. So there's 137.50. If you're long bias, I would not be taking shorts. And then your long would be here, and it would have stopped you out right there. So there's 250, and it would have entered a short right here. It would have exited you right here, but if you're mainly trading, I would not have allowed that to exit there. I would have had my stop above it, or maybe down in here somewhere. I would not have allowed that one little wick to get me. The bot would have stopped you out right there. So the bot would have stopped you out at $12.50 loss. If you'd have held in manually, you come down, you come back up, come down. When it actually breaks through, you definitely want out. So there's 312.50. And that's how it works with that. Now, if we bring in the balance with it, the balance, you would have a lot of scalps in here. And then when you come down, you would have your balance. You'd be looking more short bias. Up here, you're above the balance. So you're looking more long bias is what you're looking for. But once you come up here and then you make that lower high, you're coming down. So you want to take your shorts. You probably won't take your longs at that point. When you're making lower highs, you want to take your shorts. When we break this one right here, we might take a long off of this one here. We would not take that short. We would take that long and probably a break-even trade. Then when it comes down, you would not be there. Since it's made a lower low, you'd be not taking that high or that long. And you would take this short, and you would take this short, and you would take that short. And if you look at this, with the balance, you're going to see where your levels are. So when this comes down and pushes through, instead of having your stop up here on that breakthrough, you would actually have your stop down here closer to the balance. That's going to help you gain a little more money. Once this comes through, you entered short here, come down, have your stop just above there, and then when it breaks through, put your stop here. You keep on coming down, and your stop out would be rolling through here when it pushed through. So you'd have made money there. You pushed up on your balance. That's telling you that's a good short right there. So you're getting a short there. So the SuperTrend can work with a balance as well. I've never actually traded the SuperTrend and the balance together. I haven't done that. But it definitely shows you where it's going. So if you're going in here, maybe you play it down to right here. I would be playing it on down, and then I would be working my stop down. I would not allow this to go all the way down and then back up to here to stop out. My stop would be down in here at this point. Whenever I trade the SuperTrend bot, I don't trade it by letting it just run loose. I control those stops and bring it down, and most of the time you'll make more money. Does that help you, Fred? That you want more on that, or? Okay, great. So, any questions on any of this? Does anybody need me to cover anything that I did go over? It's about an hour, so yeah, we kept up pretty good. I didn't know if I could get through all this in an hour. There was one question that someone asked about, and I'm going to cover this. Let me look at it here real quick. Just bear with me. It's regarding a let's see here. Okay, so right here, this is the mover bot. I'm not showing the settings, but you notice there's nowhere on here to put micros, and there isn't, because the mover bot trades. If you're going to trade micros, you put the mover bot on a micro chart. You don't put it on a mini chart and then trade micros. So let me show you another one. So this one here, we have micro trend only. And so on the SuperTrend, if you're going to trade micros, our settings are for the minis, because minis and micros have different volume. And we trade SuperTrend usually on a tick chart, and you can't run the same settings on a micro. It won't work. It's just different. So what we have to do is we check this, and then this down here, we would actually put, if you're going to trade right now, you would trade MES, and you have to make it capital letters, and it would be 0622, and that's what you'd put in if you're going to trade MES. If you're going to trade MNQ, you would do that. It has to look exactly like this up here. So if you had a MES on there, you would have to have it look just like this right here. It has to have the space and everything, capital letters, all that. And that's the way that would work. Now, someone had mentioned, let's see here, I think it was the shaker. Okay, so the shaker is the same way. There is no micro enabled. If it has a micro enabled up here, you should use it. If it does not, you throw it on the micro chart. That's the way you do it. Someone mentioned that today. I told them I would put that in on this webinar and show you. Sometimes it's just easier to show than it is to type. A lot of things get lost in typing and text. A lot of people think I'm mad about something, and I'm not. It's just I'm just real. I just answer. I'm black and white. I'm not one to sugarcoat things. I just want to get it answered and move on. I talk to a lot of people every day on the phone, in the DMs, through emails, texts, and I answer quick sometimes, and people take me wrong when I'm not upset or anything. I'm trying to answer you. So if anybody thinks I get upset or whatever, sorry. I just try to get everybody answered the best I can. And plus, I'm trying to trade. I'm trying to make money, and I'm trying to take care of the website stuff and also build the bots and the indicators and all that. You a butthole. Ah ha ha, fish. ES, nice drop tonight. I never looked at it. Let's look at it. I didn't know it dropped. Wow. I could have been in that. Let's just look and see what would have happened if you were in SuperTrend. $900 drop. And on this one here, you would have been here and at the very bottom. I'm just showing you the best case scenario. And we lost some money on that one. Definitely lost some money on this one here. Probably right there. So these two have been losers. Not going to win them all. I like SuperTrend. I think it's one of my favorites. My all-time favorite, I get asked a lot, is Mover. If I only had one thing to have on my chart, it'd be Mover. I can make more money with Mover than I can anything. I love it. It gets me in quick. It gets me out quick. I can trade it on anything. It's just, I love it. So let me show you what Mover would do. So if you're trading this on, like tonight, I'm probably on an 89 tick. That's probably what I'll be trading. Letting it calculate. I must have a lot of days on this. I didn't restart NinjaTrader before I did this. I usually start it between 5 and 6, but I didn't. I went to buy a truck last night. I'll tell you a little story. It's a decent deal on it. It didn't run, which I don't care. I'm fixing it. And it was a Ford F350 6-liter truck, diesel. I love the 6 liters. Most people hate them, but I like them. I've had several. And I went out there to look at it. Drove an hour and 20 minutes to get to this guy's house. Got the way out there. My wife and I took the top down on Mercedes and took off. We had just a nice little drive up toward Gallipolis, Ohio. And I get up there, and he's trying to sell me another truck he's got, but I don't want to buy that one. And long story short, he come back, and I said, well, I want to hear this one run. Because he said it would run, but it just wouldn't. You'd have to let it warm up for 30 minutes for it to go. And I already knew what was wrong, so I wasn't afraid of it. So I said, I want to hear it run. And he tried to start it, and the batteries weren't enough. And I said, well, can you just jump it? And he just cocked an attitude with me, and so he just caught me at the bad moment. I was cash in hand and just ready to take it. And So I said some choice words to him that I just normally don't talk that way, but he just really made me mad. And when I left, he thought I was a butthole, but I made sure he knew that he was one, and a few other words. I just don't talk to people that way. I'm pretty easy to get along with, but when you cross me, I'm done with you. And I was done. My wife had the top down. She was standing right there, and she hollered at me, want me to get in the car. I did. She keeps me under control most times. She's had to call me out a couple times and calm me down. It's like a bull looking at a red flag. Sometimes I see that red flag and I forget about everything around me, including my family. That's the story of me. I'm pretty calm most of the time. I get along with most people, but some people I just can't get along with. So good drop tonight. Mover, looking at, I don't know how I got. Oh, it's fishes. He called me a butthole. That's why. He did that because he knew the story today. He knew the story, and he was just. I know that's what he's up to. So this one right here, if you traded the mover, and you can trade these to different moving averages and stuff. Some people like here's one. I'll change this over. Let's see here. I'll change over to like this one here. Okay. So this is how it works, and you have different settings here, different moving averages. You can pick the one you want. You can pick the numbers you want. There's one person, he runs an SMA 34. I'm not fond of it, but that's what he runs. You can turn the arrows on and off here. You can enable color bars, which I kind of like sometimes. I'll show you how it works. And then you can put your alerts in there. So when we bring that back over, let's see, is it that one? Yeah. It'll just show the bars that are the colors of the mover. Now for me, I kind of like it. I've been using it here lately because when you look at, let me show you the difference. So when you look at the difference right there, we'll apply it back, and now we're back to the red and green along with the mover. Well, sometimes you get a little distracted on it, and I don't know why that thing is doing that. It's taking forever. Let's see, data series, 3 days. I don't know what it is. I guess 89 tick. So when you look at it, it's a little bit more distracting because you've got so many colors in there. But if you go ahead and bring this up and then you put in your color bars and then you change it back. I've been trading this way lately and I think I like it a little better. It's less to look at. I'm just seeing red, I stay short, and blue, I go long. It's easier to see where the color change is on the mover. So I've been trading that. Now this one, like I said, is the SMA 34. Some people will trade 55. If you trade the 55, it'll make you stay in the trade a little bit longer sometimes. So it really kind of depends on what you want to do. And to show you what this would look like during the daytime, let's see here. I don't know why NinjaTrader does that. It'll just show this, just the data is wrong. I hate that. It does it on ES mainly. But when you're looking through here, you can see that's nothing but chopping there. You don't know what to do. You're better off just stay out. You're going to lose money in here. You're not going to beat it. You're going to lose money. But on these right here, if you just traded a color change, the color change be right there. There's $662. If you got in, say about right there, if you stayed in it to the bottom, 275. So there's a lot of money that you could potentially make, and that works pretty good. Just standard candles, just a regular candlestick. That's all I'm using. I never use Haishiaki. How you say it? Hyshiansky or Isky, I don't know how to say it. I never use that stuff. I just use a regular candlestick. If you use a regular candlestick, you can read the candles. You've got wicks and so forth. When you start using all these fancy candles, you don't know what you're trading. So let's go back to like a 1 minute. A 1 minute is a real good one to use for that. And to give you an example, let's go back to right here. You have that big old long wick. That tells you the bulls or the bears are in control. They're pushing that thing way down. So when you've got these big wicks up here, that's a good sign. It's going to go right on down. You see this big wick here? That's telling you it's going to go up. So when you see those wicks, you know pretty much that you're going that direction. Now when you see this big old engulfing candle right here, it's not because there's no candle inside or outside. But like on this one here, this is a inside bar because you're within that. If you don't use a regular candle, you're not going to know what to do. This one right here says bullish because we are blue on the mover. We're an inside candle for this one. This one's engulfing that one. And then boom, there it goes. But if you use Rinkos, like a lot of people like Rinko. I don't like Rinko. They lie to you. Let's use like an 8-4. Those candles don't tell you anything. They just tell you red or blue. That's all they tell you. You don't know what these candles mean. So I don't trade them. I don't like them. We have one bot. It's called Stepper Bot, and it uses Renko. We use an Ninja Renko on those, and it does all right. Jim, you said you want to use a WMA 144. I have not used that one. And let's go back to a regular candle. Let's see here. So 144. That's actually a pretty good one. I've never used the 144 thing, but look at that. It's just telling you red the whole day. But this is the mover. It changes the colors of the candles. I mean, if you just played it based on that, I mean, if you played right here and you played right on up, it stayed blue the whole time to about right here. There's 487.50. Got in there. And let's just say you played till 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So right there's 5,400. If you just played the mover alone. To give you an idea of what it would look like on a different day, that's no one asked, I'm offering. Same thing here. The problem is if you miss the entry, you're trying to get in that entry without getting stopped. That entry is very important. And I have a mover bot that will do this. It'll trade just this color change. And there's your exit, there's 2,900. And that's just getting in and just letting it stay in the whole time and not pulling with it. So if you see blue, you stay long. If you see red, you stay short. Right here, you're going to have trouble staying short. You're going to have some stop outs or something. You might put your stop in up here and just let it ride out. When it come down, pull it up, pull down. I'd have my stop right here minimum. So there's 87.50. Everyday intraday swings. Yeah. Every day. And then if we go back, let's see if I got another day on here. Yeah, right there. Let's see. See, it's messed up. That's Ninja Trader. Play till noon. So this one right here, I mean, you would have got in back in here. And if you just stayed in, I mean, right there is where it pulled way back. I would not allow this myself. When this pushed up, I'd be wanting to get out right there. There's $600. I don't know if I'd have got in a short here. Probably would have got back in the blue right there. I don't know if I would have stayed in that. I know I wouldn't have. But if you come up, when this pushed way up, I'd be out up in here somewhere. I would not allow all this. And when it pulls back down into it, maybe you hop back in. I don't know. But just that right there is $1,800 on one contract. Then you get in right here, all the way down to there is $1,300. We have no idea what happened here, but we know the end of the day, it closed right there. So if you just had one, say you only had $500 to spend, in my opinion, I like the mover a lot because it does a lot more. It gives you more direction. Your entries and stuff are a little better. I like the balance with it. So when I trade the balance with the mover, let's see, where is that thing? Right here. And let's just say that we went ahead and did Jim's thing here. See here, WMA, and we did the 144, and we enabled colors. So this is telling you all your levels and everything. Kind of letting you know. I mean, you could have got in like when it comes down here, stayed in, and then when it dropped down below, you could put your stop here when it pulled back up or whichever. But the mover itself does a really good job about keeping you in a trade. Just if you make the candles change colors like that, I think it helps you stay in better. We've got another one that is the Profit Finder. It does a real good job too. Let's see, let me find it here. The Profit Finder. I think it's this one right here. There we go. So the Profit Finder does kind of the same thing, and you can turn your candles off, and it would have got you in up in here for a short and just kept you in it all day. And the way it works is if it's red, it's short. If it's green, it's long. You can change those colors as well. So the Profit Finder actually does a really good job too. It keeps you in the trade longer instead of having all this mess in here. It'll keep you in the trade. I'm not going to go into details on it tonight. We're already 15 over. Any more questions before I call this a night? Hopefully this will answer the majority of everybody's questions they've had for the last several days. You're welcome. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.